So the Syrian government has approved a draft law that would see an end to the country's state of emergency. At the same time, it's passing a new law regarding protests. Overnight on Monday, security forces fired on protesters in the city of Homs, killing at least 4 and injuring dozens more. Let's get the very latest from our correspondent at Damascus, Cal Perry. And Cal, it's a pretty momentous moment in the scheme of things.
It absolutely is. After 48 years, the state of emergency has officially been lifted. Now, the law itself, we understand by the cabinet, will be scrubbed. They've passed that to the president for his signature, which is really more a formality than anything else. 2 other things coming out of that cabinet meeting. The Supreme Security Court has been dissolved. That's something that protesters here certainly will be happy about. It goes to the whole problem of the security apparatus being able to basically detain people without any cause. That's something that people here have really been protesting against. Also, we understand they're going to pass a law that allows people to protest, as they say, quote unquote, peacefully, that being the key word there. We heard from the Interior Minister earlier today saying that he urges people, not only urges them, but tells people to stay off the streets, that they don't want to see any more protests. The government clearly drawing a line between what they consider to be the rightful protest and peaceful protests and what we've seen in the past few days, which are violent protests, Nick.
Yeah, right, because therein lies that big contradiction, doesn't it? Allowing peaceful protests, but then banning these current demonstrations.
Absolutely. We've spoken to somebody in Dada, the southern city where all this began some 5 weeks ago, and they expressed over the phone exactly this confusion, which is, if the state of emergency is being lifted, why is the Interior Minister telling people to stay off the streets? They also said that a lot of what the concern is here is that this major security apparatus has been preventing people from carrying on with daily life, from opening new businesses, from getting jobs in the government or in the courts, and that's a big question here on the ground as well. It's all well and good that the state of emergency has been lifted. What is that emergency law going to be replaced with? Will it be replaced with other laws that basically have the same restrictions attached to them, Nick?
Crucial thing is how the protesters going to take all this. Where a line has dropped from Reuters suggesting that there are demonstrations ongoing in Banyas. You have to wonder how they will swallow these latest concessions.
Well, there are certainly things that will remain regardless of the state of emergency being lifted. People want to see an investigation into those that have been killed around the country in the past 5 weeks. They want to see people brought to justice, and they want to see them being brought to justice in the towns where these incidents happened, not here in Damascus. People also want to see the release of many detainees, be them political or people that protested. They want to see these people released. And in Banyas, we've seen these protests before. We've seen people protesting for the release of detainees. People literally sitting on that coastal road in the northeastern part of the country and shutting down people's ability to travel up and down that highway, Nick.
Cal, thanks very much. That's the very latest from Syria of moving events there in Damascus.